He targets consensus Senate President and Speaker of House of Representatives as President-elect meets with the party NWC and National Assembly members over 10th legislators leadership. I'll be hanging out with Chris Kende Wadu and Solomon Ajuzogo. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. Let's begin with the issue of safety of Nigerians abroad. 10 buses left Sudan for Egypt with 500 Nigerians from where they will be airlifted by Air Peace. 2 of the first 10 buses took off from El Razi University, while 8 others moved Nigerians to African International University, both in Khartoum. They are among the 40 buses hired by the federal government of Nigeria to move Nigerians to safety. The chairperson of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri-Ewa, said 13 fleeing Nigerians have arrived in Ethiopia. Solomon, this arrangement, first of all, let me make sense of the number of students we have in Sudan. What's the attraction? Khartoum.
First, we need the statistical breakdown of what this number represents from where and to whom. One of the things that is remarkable is that usually from the northern part of the country, the Arabic-speaking zones have always been a major attraction for higher education, for technical education, and other kinds of tourism for the people of the north. So Sudan wouldn't be an exception because of a certain level of advancement in studies for some of them. So Khartoum had always been a maker of some sort for educational tourism, if you like to put it that way. So that's one. Besides, Nigerians, not just the ones from the north, but Nigerians like being everywhere. Like my brothers from the east would also do business in Sudan. They would do business anywhere. And anywhere you don't find a Nigerian, then you know that there is no business there. So Nigerians like to travel. My brothers from the east like to travel. But for our brothers in the north, it's a major educational center for them, whether you're talking about Sudan, or you are talking about Egypt, or you are talking about Saudi Arabia, or you're talking about United Arab Emirates, or you're talking about Morocco even, and all of that. So this is an attraction sort of for them. But I think that number is huge. When I look at it, 5,000 is such a huge number. This 500 is just one part of it, one small, tiny bit, of the entire more than 5,000 people there.
How will you assess our response so far?
Our response has been very bad. And just coming in, as I just come into the studio, some news broke from that trip. That's by what the executive chairman of NICOM just said. This is a news just breaking, and it's coming from Punch newspaper. And I'll tell you exactly. It says Nigerians are stranded on their journey from Khartoum to Cairo. That news just broke about 30 minutes ago.
From Khartoum to Cairo?
Yes. And the point is saying, as of the time of filing this report at 2:20 p.m., our correspondent gathered that none of the embassy officials are on ground to explain to stranded Nigerians, especially the students, why the drivers have stopped buses at the desert. That the buses have stopped, they've run out of fuel, and also that they are saying that they've not been paid. The Post reports that evacuation of 2,400 students and other Nigerians trapped by the ongoing conflict took off on a slow start on Wednesday, as only 15 out of 40 buses required for the exercise were provided. Although the federal government hired 40 buses for the repatriation of Nigerians from Khartoum, only 10 buses were available as of Wednesday morning. What does that tell you? That means there's serious hitches. That means that Nigerians, as of this moment, if the report of Punch is to be taken, are stranded in the desert.
They say they've not been paid.
They say they've not been paid. That is Punch report. They said they are not paid, and they have run out of fuel. And you now want to ask yourself,
the amount of dollars that was
1.2 million naira was budgeted for this, for hiring of the buses. 1.2 million dollars. If you break it within the 740, 750, what the rate per dollar, that is close to 900 million naira. Now that is the situation on ground.
Just to hire these buses.
That is
to get that done.
Yes. People went on to say, why we need to say this is that this is journalists and guys, and we are journalists, and we are factual, and we are very, very factual in what we are saying. Our police are saying that people are sitting outside under high temperatures. The temperature is very high. The people are thirsty, nowhere to find water to drink or buy food to eat. In the next 2 or 3 days, if nothing is done to address the situation, Nigerian students might start dying. That is the point. Anybody that doesn't believe it should just go to the website of Punch this afternoon. That is what Punch is, and Punch is a very reputable newspaper. So what is all this tell you? And that has shown the slowness with which we react when it comes to issues concerning Nigerians and everything Nigeria. Both within and outside, not just outside, but within. This same thing happened in Ukraine, during the Ukraine-Russian war. We ran into the same problem. It happened in India. It happened in South Africa. So this is not the first time it's happened. And I continue to ask myself, at what point did we drop the ball? Because if you know, in the past, Nigeria has always taken a pole position when it comes to issues like this. In fact, what we used to do in the past is that we not only evacuate our citizens, we also evacuate citizens of other African countries, especially those within the West African region, and bring them to Nigeria, and then not, because of the Big Brother, but this is what is happening. And I continue to ask, why is it that we have? And I think where the problem is, one, that's duplication, or there is an overlap job between NITCOM and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I think that is where the problem. That is two. You ask yourself, where is NEMA in all this? Is NEMA supposed to be strictly for internal purposes? I heard that the DG or whoever of NEMA has moved to Cairo. But where is NEMA in this? And it is very, very disheartening. At a point, our government was telling our citizens that, stay where you are. Stay in your houses. Don't move. How can you stay in your houses when bombs are dropping, when people are being killed? Somebody is telling you to stay where you are. We get across to you. Other countries are evacuating their citizens. In fact, it took, which of the countries? Saudi Arabia has to take the initiative to evacuate some Nigerians, not even our government, evacuated some Nigerians to either, I think, Egypt or Ethiopia. It is just a sad situation, and I can assure you that this will still happen again. It is like we don't learn any lesson. The news is coming in. It's quite unfortunate. I saw the Minister of Foreign Affairs talking about yesterday how they are hiring about 40 buses, how we're going to pay about $1.2 million to be able to. But that is not the report coming in, is that Nigerians coming back from Sudan are stranded now. And the ministry needs to be
compared to the responses from other nations, when you want to look at the way we've responded to this, how would you assess it?
I think that specifically we need to begin to ask ourselves, which particular countries are you referring to? Are you referring to the United States? Are you referring to Canada? Are you referring to these much more advanced countries? No,
maybe we can just stay with the other African countries.
That's what I'm saying. How many of them have successfully evacuated their citizens from Sudan? We need to be factual on that as well. Now, this is a crisis situation which a lot of people would have thought that first and foremost that this was just a coup. This has gone beyond a coup. This is a very serious internal conflict. It's warfare of some sort. There are military formations fighting each other. And this is huge, and nobody expected this sort of outbreak of violence in that place. And in that kind of situation, the government wasn't wrong. Now, I'm not saying this on behalf of government, but the government wasn't wrong to have told the citizens to stay where they are. You can't start running everywhere when you do not know exactly the magnitude of the issues involved. When bullets are flying everywhere, when jets are flying. I mean, the magnitude of the crisis is such that an internal conflict where jet bombers are blowing up places. So the only thing you can do is, and you don't throw bombs anywhere like Russia would do in Ukraine. In this sort of warfare, you find out that they are targeted, bombardments actually. So the best thing will be for the people to stay indoors, and the people who know the place, will then know where to move. We are here in Nigeria, and we do not know the terrain of Khartoum and a lot of places in Sudan. So it only makes exactly exactly. So now the thing is this: you must also know that strategically, those who have been able to evacuate their citizens successfully, the Americans, the Canadians, have always had a tactics where sometimes you look at the location of their foreign missions, of their embassies where they are located, and the proximity to the airport where they can fly in stealthily with their special forces and get that done. And that will be very early in this sort of crisis because they probably have advanced intelligence on some of these issues. We might not have that level of advanced intelligence. Now the crisis has gone full-blown. You are not just going to... It's an abnormal situation, so you require abnormal solution. You are not going to fly in your planes and try to evacuate your citizens when you cannot use the airport. So the best thing will be this sort of evacuation process they have adopted, and that number is such a huge number. You are not going to take them in one plane if you have to fly in planes. So you have to move them to a place that is safer first before you begin to think of how to move them out. Yes.
This is, I totally, to a large extent, I agree with you. But it goes beyond that. In international diplomacy, issues like this come into place. When your citizens, every country has its strategic way of doing things, and issues like this. I've given you a practical example. I said it's happened in Ukraine. We had issues in India. We had issues in South Africa. And some other countries, even in Ghana here. Ayo, you forgotten what happened in Ghana just last year, how many years ago, when Nigerians were being killed. What I'm saying in essence is not a question of communication is key, fine. But most of these countries that we are talking about, immediately this happens, they put everything in place to be able to evacuate their citizens. That is what I'm saying. It's not a question of how many countries. I don't care how many countries in Africa are doing this or not doing that. I'm not from Egypt. I'm not from Ethiopia. I'm not from any other. I am much more concerned about my country. I'm concerned about Nigerians, and have given specifics. Reports coming in. Even if these people are, is it the same way we are doing ours that they did theirs? No. Something is not just thinking, and that is why I believe that we can get a more realistic. I still feel that one, our government is not doing enough. That is one. Two, the response time is not good enough. Three, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has also need to go. Yes, I praise Honorable Abike Dabiri. Sincerely, I praise her. She has been very consistent when it comes to issues like this. In fact, at a point, you're going to think that she's even the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You cannot, there's no way you can pigeonhole Honorable Abike Dabiri, but don't forget that most of the time, to work with, most of them, do we have contingency funds for issues like this? Or that is, once it happens, we start running around. So, my own personal recommendation, I would have thought is that we should have a strategic or a force. Let's not use the rapid response course again because it has been bastardized in so many cases, either in Nigeria or Sudan. But a response squad or a committee that will see to issues like this because it will still happen. For goodness sake, how can it take over 2 weeks after now we've been told that, yes, that no Nigerians lost their lives in Sudan? I personally will take that with a pinch of salt. Because, you know why? If you ask our embassy in Sudan to give you the number of Nigerians in Sudan, you know, we are talking about evacuating 5,000. I heard that we have over 5 million Nigerians in Sudan. Yes, go and make your research. We have been told, I listened to Professor Bolaji Akiyemi, the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, few days on the national, and he said that we have over 5 million Nigerians, and I've done that research. I've seen that. You know why? Like, he even put it on my lips. It was only when he started saying it that I understand. He said some people go to Mecca and some of these other places. They can't make it back to Nigeria, they stop at Sudan. Some people want to travel from here to other countries in Europe and the rest of them. They are coming, they can't make it, they stop at Sudan. That when you look at the population of Nigerians in Sudan, that is over 5 million. Quote him, I am telling you basically that. So you can see, you might find it difficult to believe.
I find that a bit difficult because this is a national issue first and foremost. But you know that the way a lot of these Nigerians leave the country and their locations are not properly documented. So I will leave that first in the realm of speculation. We can say that we have quite a huge number of Nigerians in Sudan, but to say 5 million, I will then ask, so what is the population of Sudan in the first place? That you have that number of Nigerians in Sudan first and foremost. Then secondly, I will say, if I have to throw up that sort of number, then I'll be asking, okay, so where is the record? So I think that most of the problem we are having with this issue of evacuation here and there is the number at which the way Nigerians get to leave the country most of the time. Everybody, we leave, people are living in droves, and then people are just doing their own thing. People have survived on their own. There is no proper documentation of location where these people are, and all of that. I think that that is a major challenge. It's a major challenge for a whole lot of third world countries, to document where their people are. So if we are not deliberate about this, then we cannot have the exact number of people. We cannot speculate about the number of people in particular locations. We need to be deliberate in the way we handle this. And I will agree with you that to a large extent, there has been a consistent pattern, of how we've done these things and we've done them wrongly. But to throw up such numbers, for me, is a bit ridiculous.
Okay, right. Let me just give an update from my producer here now, saying that 13 buses left Khartoum yesterday for Aswan, conveying 637 Nigerian nationals. That 13 buses left,
not even 15.
Khartoum yesterday for Aswan, that's in Egypt, conveying 637 Nigerian nationals. All right, moving forward now. Eternal vigilance remains the price we pay for freedom and safety. The Ondo State Security Network, codenamed Amotekun, arrested 31 suspected criminals over alleged kidnapping and ritual killings in the states. The commander of Amotekun in the states, Adetunji Adeleye, bemoaned influx of illegal headers into the states at night through the border with Kogi and Edo states. Let's share the story by TVC News Ayodeji Muradeyo with you.
These 31 suspects are among 45 persons arrested at different locations by operatives of the Ondo State Security Network, popularly called Amotekun Corps. They were arrested during various operations carried out by Amotekun operatives during Easter and Eid al-Fitr holidays. The offenses range from attempted murder to illegal possession of firearms and kidnapping.
From the forests in Okeala.
State commander of the Corps, Adetunji Adeleye, said the suspects were arrested after careful monitoring. Adeleye said the suspect confessed to the crimes after proper profiling.
The last operation yielded about 45 criminals, out of which 31 of them had been profiled. They include suspected kidnappers, rapists, burglars. We even rigged in notorious ASU joint handlers that specializes in carrying goods.
He, however, raised the alarm over the influx of others into the state from neighboring Kogi and Edo state.
The reality is that in the last 1 month, we have very heavy and unusual influx of herdsmen into the state. Very, very heavy. As at yesterday, we were confronted with over 9,000 heads, and against the law of the land.
Second commander also reacted to questions on kidnapping cases recorded in Akure North local government area of the state.
Security agencies cutting across the board, the army, the civil defense, and Amotekun Corps, had actually combed the area to ensure that residents of Iju and Itaobolu can have peace. And as we talk now, I think peace has been restored in that local government.
According to the Amotekun commander, the suspect will be charged to court in the days ahead. Aiyetoro Moradeyo, TVC News, Akure.
Solomon, from Ondo North and the Akure area down to, Akure, they've been having these challenges. And most of the farmers there have left their farms, saying that terrorists have taken over their farmlands. And it has been like this for a long time.
I have been fascinated so far about the particular pool and interest. What is the attraction for these terrorists to this particular axis of the country? When these things happened up north, then we say, okay, nomads of some sort, moving about the whole place. What is the major attraction to that Ondo Ekiti axis? I have always wondered about that, because of all the Amotekun groups after the Southwest political system system decided to set up, the Amotekun. I think they'd be more active along this axis in Ondo State, especially. These guys have done a great job at what you call some sort of grassroots community policing, of that environment. But the thing is, we need to take a look at this more holistically, more strategically, so that the influx, as the Corps commander has just talked about it, so that they don't get overwhelmed. They probably need to put a lot more attention to this area, that this is not the job left for Amotekun alone. But I'm a bit curious as well about what is the major attraction, what is in that forest belt between Ondo and Ekiti that makes it so attractive. There must be something going on within that forest belt that is pulling this sort of number of terrorists to that area. Don't forget that just less than a year ago, we had the Owo massacre, where these guys, went in and stormed this place. I'm curious to know what the state at the federal level is doing beyond what Amotekun, which is just a creation within Ondo State, is doing to curb this. That will go a longer way to sort out the problem. I don't think this is a battle for Amotekun alone. The federal government needs to be a bit more active. The state forces have to be a bit more active to deal with this problem before it snowballs into something bigger than this.
The governor at a point in time was, pushing for these Amotekun guys to be carrying like AK-47 so that they'll be able to combat these people. And the politics between the federal government and all these little paramilitary organizations.
Yes, that is a fact. Solomon was asking, he doesn't know what attracts them. But you have to know that Ondo shares a border with Kogi State. And you have to know that Kogi is more like a hotbed of insurgency at a point. So it is always easier for them to move from Kogi.
They have terrorists.
There are so many terrorist cells in Kogi State. Don't forget that even recently when the president went to commission an event in Kogi State, a bomb blast, there was a bomb blast in Kogi. So that is, and also Ondo is a gateway into the Southwest. On a daily basis, if you start at Bega here and see the number of trailers coming in on a daily basis and the number of people coming in from our brothers and sisters, brothers coming from the north. So it's most of them at times don't find it easy making it to Lagos. So they try to settle there. So it is it's a fertile ground for anybody. And we have so many forests. We don't have forests in Lagos. Yes, in Oyo State, I doubt if we really have that much of forest as a bet. If you look at Ekiti, if you are going from here to Edo State through the Shagamu Expressway, you see the amount of forest we have on the road from Ajibandele to Benin, and also, so all those are easy places for them, and they feel that they'll be undetected. There was a time they wanted to start it on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. You remember where people were being kidnapped on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway on a daily basis until a joint task force of Amotekun, the police, and the military stopped that. So that is the issue. But my own personal...
Yes. Just hold on to a thought there. Yeah. We just quickly take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more.
FAN is the umbrella association of the over 12 million Nigerian rice farmers. Through the administration of good and quality extension services, the Nigerian rice farmer has imbibed good agronomic practices, as a result of which the average yield per hectare, which used to be 1 ton as at 2015, is today 5 metric tons. This has resulted to the increase of the national production from 3 million per annum to 9 million tons per annum. As a result of this, today Nigeria is the largest producer of rice in Africa. Since the beginning of 2015, or the beginning of Akure program, Nigeria has officially not imported any rice into the country. All these successes could not have been achieved without the political will of Mr. President.
Are you ready to win big?
Bills to pay.
It's Max Millions.
Give me that money. Pay off bills.
We're giving away 1 million naira to our lucky listeners who win a share of the 1 million naira. Tune in to 102.3 Max FM Lagos and 90.9 Max FM Abuja from 6 a.m. Listen out for the winning song, be the 10th caller, beat the clock, and you could win big with Max Millions.
Money.
Stop. He said stop. 25,000 naira. Come on.
Max Millions, only on Max FM.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Journalist Hangout, and we're looking at the security situation in Ondo State. And what we've seen here is that we've had traditional rulers killed. We've had a lot of, residents of that state, kidnapped. The number of kidnap cases they've had has gone up astronomically. We had the Owo massacre too. And when you want to, I think they need, as you rightly recommended, a kind of attention from the federal government.
No, usually, strategically, in military terms, the forest creates some cover strategically from an aerial point of view. When you have a canopy of forested areas, it provides opportunity for clandestine activities in terms of security. I also do not think that it is sufficient that it is just forested. I'm suspecting that there are some things going on in that forest. People don't just coagulate within a forest simply because, okay, they want to be there. Yes, we understand that some of these terrorists use the forest cover to go undetected and all of that for their clandestine activities. I also want to, I'm curious to know what sort of activities are going on in the forest belts that will keep them there. Because if there's nothing going on there, it is not sufficient to just stay under the forest cover. Right? So I think these are things we need to investigate. It is not so,
attraction.
The first question is, because if you talk about Kogi, the first question is, what is in Kogi? Is Kogi just a transit point for these terrorists? What is it in Kogi that holds them, that allows them to use that place as a base and then go to other places? So importantly, so if you look at the forest belts there, we must then begin to ask, these places, have we mapped them out for strategic security, purposes? What is going on in these places that this place can hold them? What activities are going on there? So it must mean that there's something going on in this forest that we are not paying attention to. Amotekun won't be sufficient to handle this. They are doing their best, and I guess it would have been worse if Amotekun wasn't around, to curb some of the things that it is doing. I think that it is time for the Nigerian state to really stand up for her responsibility to protect her people. People cannot just come from anywhere, rolling anywhere, undocumented. We don't know who they are, hide in our forests, kill our people. maim our people, rape our women, and destroy our farmland. Food is getting expensive because of these things. We need to really do more than just what Amotekun is doing.
Now, one of the low points for this outgoing administration is security. A lot of people would tell you that as a military general, a retired general, that they expect President Muhammadu Buhari to have performed better. That if Amotekun is saying 9,000 herders sneaked into, a particular state, so what will be the templates, the new administration, to set a kind of agenda in terms of security for these states, especially states affected like this?
Personally, it's not just President Muhammadu Buhari that disappointed in terms of security. Members of National Assembly also disappointed, because I know that part of the law that was supposed to be passed and signed into law by the president was that of states. The president refused, then it would have been a different ballgame. Over the years, we've been talking about the fact that the Nigerian police is overstretched. The military have left their primary responsibilities, role as they're supposed to guard Nigeria against external forces. The primary responsibility of the police is to handle internal security. But that now has been taken over or jointly by the military, which shouldn't be. So I believe that if, first and foremost, we're talking about setting agenda, I would think that one of the foremost things to do with this incoming government is to make sure that we'll be able to look at that state policing and allow states to be able to participate. That is what is done all over the world. If you go to the countries of the world, you're always going to the states, US, you see there, counties have police of their own. The states have police of their own. You talk about the federal. Even universities have police of their own. Well, the essence of that is that so that policing will be localized. People that stay within certain environment, we know who and who within that environment. If you bring somebody from the north and take it to my village in Ondo, in Imo State, that doesn't know. Or take it to say Solomon's, which is just an adjoining village to my own. To Solomon, will he know the people? Solomon, even as he is, knows the bad boys in his own village. So when you bring people from this, you may say that, there's this guy that, the governors will abuse it, they are there, but it's neither here nor there. The fact is that if you still look at the police, primarily, the states, they are funding the police the more. You understand what I'm saying? So that is the area I personally think. And then, good enough, once the new president comes, he's going to get his own new service chiefs. It seems that those that are on the saddle now probably have tried their best, and we thank them for what they have done. People with new idea will come in, and then the recruiting system within our policing. How do we recruit our policemen? We have barely about 300,000 policemen, or about let me say less than 500,000 policemen, to over 120 million people. Is it possible for them to be effectively policed? Which is why I still continue to appreciate the Southwest government, Southwest governors, what they are doing at Amotekun. If the Southeast have been doing half of what the Southwest is doing in terms of security, then we wouldn't find ourselves where's the Bubago? Ask yourself. The Bubago that was lodged with so much noise in the Southeast, it is only in Ebonyi State that you see an element of. But even in that state, the governor is using it as a symbol of antagonizing opponents.
What amazes me about the push and pull about the state police is that people forget very quickly that Nigeria had state police before. We just disrupted everything. This country, the police was not centrally controlled. Western Nigeria had its own police. The East had its own police. The Federal had its own police because Lagos was a crown colony. So we've been there before. So it's not new to try to create state police, and it was not abused.
That is what I'm saying.
It was not abused.
That's what I'm saying.
The fear that people continually mourn, people create fear mongering, that these things in any case, if it happens, like you just talked about Ebonyi, it is part of the teething. It's part of the learning and relearning, because what we had was that when these things were disrupted in far back in 1966, we went back to a stage where, oh, okay, all the things we should have learned as a democratic nation from 1960, we now have to start relearning them. So it's natural. There's nothing wrong with going for state police. There's nothing wrong with the National Assembly having not been able to push it forward to the president is not commendable at all. I think it is something we need to deal with the incoming president.
Okay. All right. The search for the leadership of the 10th National Assembly is in top gear. The ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, and the president-elects are targeting consensus for the Senate President and the House of Representatives Speaker. The APC National Working Committee and the president-elect proposed the consensus option after a meeting in Abuja to avoid a rancorous contests and ensure unity and cohesion. CKN, we started this yesterday and somebody said, look, that for national integration, for peace, for stability, you know, as a show of this thing, that every other region should have a sense of belonging in the leadership of the National Assembly. That, yes, we have a president, we have a vice president, and that rotation should be moved to the National Assembly so that in terms of if you want to have a Senate President and Speaker of the House of Representatives, some people are even pushing specifically that, look, why can't somebody from the Southeast get the position of Senate President? But Mayor Akipolu said yesterday that, look, you can't sow from where you did not reap anything. That all the Southeastern states, APC did not get 25%. In any of the Southeastern states. So why should they be clamoring for the Senate President position? So what's your position on this?
You mean Mayor said that yesterday? Mayor said that yesterday on journalist Hangout.
Yes, what's your position on this?
Yeah. Well, I totally disagree with Mayor on that. Currently, the Southeast has 2 governors of APC, Ebonyi and Imo State. If you are going to use that as a criteria, what are you talking about? If you look at the number of members of the House of Representatives and Senate that were elected on the platform of APC, you also see that a large number of APC members were elected. And if you're talking about, did APC lose in Lagos State during the presidential election? So what are we talking about? We used to, because the presidential candidate of the APC lost in Lagos State during the election, so that the Lagos State does not have a right to. I think that is off the roof for me. The basic part is that what we need to look at: 1, equity, fair play should come to play. That is 1. Third one is competence. It is within the APC to zone its offices how it likes. But don't forget that fact. The president is from the Southwest. The vice president is also from the North. Now we also look at the Northeast. Now we also look at the president is a Muslim. The vice president is a Muslim. And whether we like it or not, religion and tribe is a big factor in Nigerian politics. Whether you like it or not, we cannot claim to be. Even in America, Joe Biden was being ordered as the first Catholic president of the United States of America. Second out of over 200 years of. If Americans will be saying that, then you cannot remove it. So for me, it does not matter. I personally feel that I personally dragged
religion inside that is not necessarily
no, it didn't start so that no. Let's go back. Right from even 1960 or 1960, whenever you had a president that is a Muslim, it was not written in the constitution. We've always, even within under the military. Which one name of the military? Is it what's his name? The only time that even during Babangida regime, when he was the only time that you have a debate was Idi Agbon and Muhammadu Buhari. I think that was the only time. So, but let us not forget what we're talking about. We're looking at the National Assembly. I personally feel that, one, competence should come to play. Two, APC should be able to put its act together. But because what is happening now is people will always lobby. We've forgotten quite easily what happened in 2015. The fact that APC has a majority membership in the National Assembly doesn't mean that it may end up producing the leadership of the, because in 2015, in as much as APC produced was the president of the Senate, but you saw what happened. The APC had a candidate, but the opposition quickly rallied around Bukola Saraki, and that's how he became president. Now, AY, the opposition party have the highest number of members in the House of Representatives. They have more members than APC. All the opposition parties put together have more members than. What it means that if they come together and decide on their own that they want to elect the Speaker of the House of Representatives, if they are united, they can pick it from APC. So everything about politics is about lobbying, discussion, and the rest of them. But if I have my own way, personally, I feel that the president of the Senate should be zoned to the southeast. Don't say I'm being selfish. It's not being selfish. You might say it all because there are capable individuals in the southeast who are capable. The south is also someone like Akpabio wants to be the Senate president. And when it comes to president of the Senate, ranking comes to play. It's not just within their books. I think it's within their rules that it must be ranking. You don't just come in as a fresher and want to become the Senate president. It has never happened.
Let me listen to Solomon on this.
I make reference to what Mayor said. If we go by that, then are we saying that the only thing that matters in the election is the presidential elections? APC did not only contest the presidential elections, they contested House of Reps and they contested in the Senate. Southeast has senators of APC, leaning. Senator Juzo Kalu, former governor of Abia State, is a returning senator. Osita Izunaso of Imo State is a returning senator as well. Then you have Governor Dave Umahi, who has also gone to the Senate, so he's of APC. You also have people from the House of Rep who are APC people. But having said that, I will always quote that word, that power is also not handed to you a la carte. Yes, it is true that fairness, equity must come into play. But these things, if I want fairness, equity to come into play, I must also take into consideration what is the interest of the other groups. So this is a decision that has to be taken within the party about where they want to go, what they want to do. And sometimes, if the majority interest and opinion overrides the issue that you talk about, fairness and equity, which would have allowed, say, the Senate presidency or the speakership to be zoned to the southeast, if the other overriding interests will be higher than that, then there is nothing anybody can do about it. Yes, we may talk about lobbying, but this is a process where consensus has to be arrived at in taking that decision. Inability to arrive at a consensus and be able to manage all of the interests that will come into play within the party, then they will have the same problem they had in 2015, the APC. So in handling this matter, I think that first and foremost, the whole of the party would have to come together and take a decision on this. It's not a bad idea if the Southeast, for a sense of belonging, gets the Senate presidency or the speakership of the House of Representatives. But everything will boil down to whatever the interests of the other regions will also be, and how the APC as a party will be able to manage this for their role, for the sake of their internal democracy and the stability of the party, or else they will have much bigger problems in their hands.
Sikiel, when you want to look at, this interest that we're talking about, a lot of things will come into play. Definitely. And when you are in the midst of these people, when you look at their arguments, they even make reference to contribution majorly to the party, contribution majorly to the emergence of Mr. President. And you will agree with me that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2015 is not the President we have in 2023. Muhammadu Buhari can allow the National Assembly to go and sort themselves, coming back from Germany, to have a nap on the day of the election of the National Assembly, to take a nap that day. If you remember the drama that happened that ensued before you could say Jack Robinson, because Saraki became the president. The same thing will not happen to Bola Tinubu's time. Hope you are taking that into consideration.
Yes, I do. I'm taking that into consideration, but don't forget that we are operating a constitution where there is separation of power. Let us not forget that. Yes.
It's his own interest.
Yes, no, I know. Too. His interest is the interest of Nigeria, not just his personal interest. The president was elected by Nigerians. So it is first and foremost our interest, not the interest of the president. So anything he's going to do will be to the interest of Nigerians. So what he thinks is right for Nigeria. If you understand what I'm trying to say. So the problem we've always had in the past is that we try to have an overlap in terms of functions. The constitution is very specific. It's like you saying that whoever is going to be the Chief Justice of Nigeria, that the president, yes, in as much as it is a different ball game, that has nothing to do with politics. But I believe that the president-elect must have a say. He will also have an idea of those he thinks that he can work with. He also have an idea. But I don't want us to have, you are talking of the president sleeping, and then I don't want the kind of last Senate, the National Assembly that we had. A Senate that was more like a rubber stamp. That anything that they say that anything, the Senate president came out to say that anything that the president gives us, we are going to approve. That is not why Nigerians elected them. The essence of electing is that to be able to have act as an oversight on the executive. If there are areas, the problem we have today, part of our problem we have, especially in the financial, with our finances, is because of National Assembly. Every single loan that was taken to the National Assembly by the president was approved by the Senate. Today we are running over about 40 trillion in debt. What are we talking about? So that is my opinion. But I totally agree with you that the president must have a say. He must have it. The party itself must have a say. But the overall interest of Nigerians must be taken into consideration when we are picking the Senate president and also
the word leaders. Must have a say is improper. He would have influence. But having a say is a hard call in this sort of thing. So if you talk about separation of powers, then it will be contradictory for the president to have a say. The president can have influence. The president can be able to, be an arbiter in between and weigh the interests and try to be seen to play the role of a statesman in bringing them together, in moderating the interests within the party and the political interests of individuals. Usually, in this kind of thing, the president is not seen, but he could be felt. So it's more about interest and not a say, because in 2015, the president couldn't have a say, even if he wanted to have a say. He wanted to have a say in a way, because the president actually had a candidate. The party had a candidate. Now, what you had that played out in 2015 was because the president didn't use his influence sufficiently enough to get these things together. So what the president will learn to do in this sort of situation is the influence, not the say.
We are just trying to, we can only pretend not to know what happens in politics. Whether you like it or not, whether influence, whether you say, the fact remains that the Nigerian president is one of who can work with. Exactly, that's what I said. He must, whether you like it, let me tell you, the Nigerian president is the most powerful president in the world. He's even more powerful than the president of the United States. Because there are so many things that you do and get away that you can't do it as the president of the United States and get away with. What I'm saying in essence is that definitely the man we want to see, he will have people that he wants to work with. If you become this class, if you are made the class prefect of your class, Solomon, you will have some people that the person you appoint will help you to be writing the names of noisemakers. It's not going to be the person that you can't trust. So definitely you have a say, but I have said it earlier on that we should not forget the fact that we have the Constitution, 1999 Constitution, as amended, has specific rule for the three arms of government: the judiciary, the legislative arm, and the executive. And this overlap. But we don't want a yes, sir, National Assembly, like the one we just had. They are practically, I don't even know what to say. And that in itself was part of the issue we have now. We want a National Assembly that can affirm itself, that can be able to take a decision on issues, putting into fact the interests of Nigerians over and above politics or party affiliation. That is very key. And once we be able to get individuals that can be able to do that, all well and good. But that this president will not have, that will not have a say in who, because bros, forget them.
Well, maybe it's the way we're using the word, because it sounds to me that when you say the president has a say, it sounds more like it's an overriding interest. Certainly he will sit down with his party people.
Which he's already doing.
Certainly he will sit down with his party people. He will look at the people he can work with. There would also be the consideration of those who have the ambition to be Senate president. He might not think he would work with them, but they can pull the levers of influence to get themselves elected.
Definitely.
Don't also forget that, yes, the president is powerful. Bukola, yes, the president was powerful. He's always been powerful, but Bukola Saraki became the Senate president.
Because they slept on it.
Well, it really didn't matter what happened. So what I'm saying in essence is this, that it is important that Bola Tinubu, as a Democrat that he has always shown himself to be, will then bring about a situation where we see this as truly democratic. One of the biggest problems political parties in Nigeria have had is a problem of internal democracy, the internal mechanism that will produce the candidates or that will produce their officials. Now that is key. Once the parties can get this right, there will be a lot more stability within the political system itself. I do agree with you that we need a National Assembly that is rigorous, a National Assembly that will keep the executive on its toes. It is so terrible to have a rubber stamp National Assembly like the one we just had. You know, but I want something.
As if you agree that it's a rubber stamp National Assembly.
Well, it sounded a lot more like it. I expect to see rigorous debates. I expect to see things that are deep, that you fine-tune. Sometimes the fact that you pass a bill, an executive bill, doesn't necessarily mean you are rubber stamp. You could actually look at dimensions, bring in dimensions to a bill that was not foreseen by the executive that brought the bill. That is the job of the National Assembly, to look at interests across the country, because the people in the National Assembly represent constituencies from all across the country. So you have the executive who brings a bill, and then the people in the National Assembly take a look at it, and they are like, no, this does not capture this sufficiently, this does not capture this sufficiently. Then you can pull and push until that which represents the best interest of Nigerians is then carried out. So we need a rigorous, more vibrant National Assembly.
This consensus thing, or they should just go ahead and select their leaders?
Personally, I would say they should go ahead and select. But definitely, the party must have a say. I will always use that word, whether I will like it or not. That is how we operate here. The fact remains that the party in itself is going to have a say. And I've given you scenarios that even the opposition parties in the House of Representatives presently have the majority and can be able to pull that rock off the ruling party if care is not taken. But the party will have a say. But at the end of it all, what Nigerians want are people that are capable, not just anybody. People who are competent, who have the capacity to be able to run and hit the ground running and make sure that aspirations and hopes of Nigerians, because at the end of it all, it's about dividends of democracy.
Yes, Chris Kende, thank you for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
Ajuzo, thank you for your contribution.
For having me.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday for Journalist Hangout on Sunday between 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubako. Bye for now. I'll see you on Sunday.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Do you struggle with having an active and healthy lifestyle due to your busy schedule? Do you find it's difficult to make it to the gym? You want to improve your overall health, but don't know where and how to start? Medical experts agree that walking, running and jogging are amongst the best ways to stay fit and enjoy a great active and healthy lifestyle. What if there was a convenient and affordable way to improve your health, improve your mood and lose weight right in your own home? Introducing the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill, the compact foldable treadmill that makes being active and losing weight fast and easy. Just unfold it and walk, jog or run while you watch your favorite programs on TV. And when you're done, just fold it and store it away. Now that's convenience. The secret is its advanced design that houses a 1 horsepower motor that is twice the size of most treadmills, packed into a nice compact unit, powering every step you take. You get the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill System complete with a rugged commercial-grade ultra-durable traction belt, large LCD multifunctional display that displays speed, time, distance, calories and has 12 different exercise programs, as well as a magnetic safety key for added security.
The SportX treadmill has really helped me get back in shape after childbirth. I love it because it's compact and can fit anywhere in the house. And when I'm done, I fold and put it away. Easy peasy.
This is the best piece of equipment for people like me who want to stay active without leaving the home. I simply unfold it and use it while I watch my favorite program on TV.
Joining a gym can cost an absolute fortune, and you could be paying up to 600,000 naira in annual gym fees. Get the SportX treadmill to save the cost and work out from the convenience of your home. You could pay 500,000 naira for a treadmill like this, but you can get the SportX treadmill for not 400,000 naira, not even 300,000 naira. Order right now and get this for just 264,950 naira only. But wait, there's more. If you order now, you get the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill delivered to you for free wherever you are in Nigeria. And it comes with a ShopX 30-day money-back guarantee. Hurry, limited stock available. So, call the number on your screen now or visit our website to place your order while stock lasts. The proceeding was a paid presentation brought to you by ShopX TV.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Hello and thanks for joining us on TVC News this hour. We begin in the nation's capital, where the National Economic Council earlier today suspended the planned removal of subsidy on petroleum products by the end of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, made this known while briefing State House correspondents at the end of the NEC meeting at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. At the meeting presided over by the Vice President, Yemi Oshibanjo, the NEC concluded that it is not a favorable time for the action. According to the minister, the council deliberated on the matter and resolved that it cannot be removed for now. She said council, however, agreed on the need to continue discussion on the matter and the necessary preparatory work in conjunction with states and representatives of the incoming administration. And now to Ondo State, where temporary relief has come the way of victims of the Aiyetoro Sea incursion in Ilaje local government area, as the Niger Delta Development Commission presents relief materials to them. Executive Director of Project of the NDDC, Charles Ogumola, who also assessed the impact of the sea incursion, said the current board of the commission is determined to find permanent solutions to the problem. Aiyetoro has details.
Aiyetoro, a coastal community in the oil-rich Ilaja local government area of Ondo State, is on the verge of going into extinction due to ravaging sea incursion that has defied communal efforts. Houses, leaving many residents of Aiyetoro homeless. Repeated calls for help from residents have failed to yield positive results as they continue to watch helplessly.
For the past 20 years now, we have been experiencing ravaging sea surge, and this surge has destroyed millions of naira.
There is no body of government that's responsible for ecosystem, ecology, environment, Senate, House. There is none of them that has not been here. But they come, they pity our condition, they make promises, and they go. One thing that they made us to understand is that it's a gigantic project.
The current board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, are here to assess the impact of sea incursion on the people of Aiyetoro. Led by its Executive Director Project, Charles Ogumola, the NDDC team promised to find a permanent solution to the problem.
In the nearest future, we are going to stop this ocean surge, we are going to protect the shoreline, and we are going to give the people of Aiyetoro a better livelihood and a better life. We came today with what we describe as our phase one, as NDDC.
The NDDC team presented relief materials to the victims. This will bring temporary relief to them following destruction of their property by the ocean surge.
What we brought in now is the tip of the iceberg. We will continue to bring more until everybody that's affected by this problem is comfortable. And I'm determined to address it. So thank you for giving us this opportunity to serve. With SEMA, thank you for giving us this opportunity to partner with you.
Although this is a temporary relief, the people of Aiyetoro want permanent solution to the problem, which is threatening to send them away in their central land. Aiyetoro, your TVC News.
And preparations are in top gear for the visit of the President-elect Asiwaju Bola Tinubu to Rivers State for the inauguration of some projects of the Governor Wike administration. Governor Wike confirmed the visit during an inspection of the newly completed project in the capital city, Port Harcourt. Senior reporter Akure has more.
Asiwaju Bola Tinubu got the hint of his return to Rivers State during this courtesy visit to the government house in Port Harcourt when he came for the APC presidential campaign rally 2 months ago. The president-elect is scheduled to inaugurate what Governor Wike describes as landmark projects via the Rumola-Rumokuta flyover and a new magistrate court building. The governor, who led an inspection of both projects, said they would be ready in the first week of May 2023.
And like we promised, we are not going to abandon any of the projects we have started, but to God be the glory. We're expecting the president-elect on the 3rd or 4th to commission the 12th flyover and the magistrate court. You can see the magistrate court buildings, how amazing it is too. And we commend the contractor too, who have done this job and quite on time. I don't think I find this anywhere in this part of the country.
12th flyover built by the of office. He said this is another evidence that his administration has done well for the people.
These 2 very important projects are ready. And Rivers people will of course attest to the fact that we have given our best, and we thank God glory that it has turned out this way, but very, very excellently, very, very, very well. We can say and beat our chest, we can go home satisfied that we have not disappointed our people.
Other projects that will be inaugurated soon include the second Police Intelligence Center and the remodeled Professor Kesley Harrison and the dental and maxillofacial hospitals. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
Other stories ahead the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly in June. The race to occupy principal offices in the legislative arm of government has continued to gain momentum. Lawmakers-elect and those returning for another term in office have continued to pull themselves up for the vacant position ahead the commencement of legislative business. The latest to join the League of Contestants is Abdul Rahim Olawi. He says he has what it takes to become Speaker of the House of Representatives in the 10th National Assembly. He says if given the opportunity to lead the 360 members of the House of Representatives, Nigeria will witness massive growth and a seamless relationship between all arms of government.
I think I am eminently qualified to lead the House, because of my experience, my connection in the House. And when I mean connection is my level of interaction and the friendship I've made in the last 4.5 years in the House. I know how the House works, and I've seen a lot of area where I can improve the standard of our legislation at the National Assembly.
And members of a civil society group on good governance are calling on the incoming administration to deliberately institutionalize equality, fairness, and justice. And speaking at a press conference in Abuja, they called on the president-elect to appoint a Southern Borno person as a federal minister to ensure balance, inclusion, and participation. Helen Osamede-Ekins has details.
It is a new dawn in the Nigerian political system. In less than 40 days, a new government will emerge to pilot the affairs of Nigeria for the next 4 years. Some Nigerians have begun to set an agenda for the new government, and the need for fair and widespread representation in government is a burning issue. This group's major concern is seeing the emergence of a Northern Borno representative in the Federal Executive Council. They explain that Southern Borno people have been marginalized by the incumbent administration.
This is not an ethnic agitation nor a religious protest, but a moral suasion. We are only appealing to the humanity which binds all of us and calling the good people of Central and Northern Borno, led by Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima, to be their brother's keepers. This time by backing a Southern Borno person for appointment as a federal minister for balancing, inclusion, and participation, which are key criteria for political equity, fairness, and justice.
Borno State has a predominance of Kano people, while other ethnic groups are found in the southern part of the states. The group believes that inclusion of Southern Borno in the incoming administration will send a strong message across the nation and the world at large that the Muslim ticket is not a prelude to religious intolerance, nor a threat to Christians or other religions, but a government founded on equity, fairness, and justice. Helen Osamede-Ekins, TVC News, Abuja.
Our delegation of the President-elect, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, led by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbadabiamila, has visited the families of elder statesman Musa Gwadabe and business mogul Aminu Dantata to condole with them over their recent losses. Gwadabe, a long-standing political associate of the President-elect, died on Wednesday, while Mr. Dantata lost his wife on the 9th of April. The delegation visited the two families separately earlier today in Kano. Speaking at Mr. Gwadabe's compound, the speaker said the politician's loss was not only a loss to his family, going by his pedigree and contributions to nation building. Femi Gbadabiamila told Mr. Dantata that the pains of losing a life partner could only be relieved by the memories of the exemplary life the deceased lived. While praying for the souls of the two deceased persons, the speaker called on the two families to immortalize their loved ones by emulating their values. You're watching TVC News at 6. We'll have more stories after this break. Stay with us.
It's always a great morning on the TVC Breakfast Show.
Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
With the array of stories that matter and what's behind them.
As you say, the first blow indicates the direction of government.
Tell us what really is going on between your union and the federal.
Once it's generated,
If you don't use it, it's waste. We are not even sure whether we have a strategy for security.
Are you saying that there was nothing wrong in that?
Was he the one driving the taxi?
Answer the question.
Reveal your morning with all you need to know.
Like
yes, just mundane lyrics.
Yes.
How does that fit into your scheme of events or duties right now?
No chief of staff, no general has the right to call a governor to order. The governor has been elected by his people.
Start your day right, because this is the breakfast show that adds to your breakfast. TVC Breakfast, weekdays at 7 a.m. only on TVC News.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's talk education matters now. Some candidates for the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination have expressed dissatisfaction over hitches encountered that led to their inability to write the examination. The examination commenced on the 25th of April, but dates had to be rescheduled for some students due to technical hitches. Helen Osamede-Akins has more.
The Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination is an entering examination into Nigerians' higher institutions of learning. Over 1.5 million candidates registered for the 2023 edition of the examination nationwide. This is one of several centers in Abuja, and candidates are waiting patiently for their turn. Kunle Maike has been in this center for hours. Little did he know that his wait would be in vain. Kunle and several other candidates could not take the examination as part of efforts to curtail technical hitches.
Some people cannot write because the system won't be able to accommodate everybody. That if everyone should write, some of us won't see our results.
The stress is too much, like some people come from far away and all that, and it's not really easy for us at all. So we're just hoping that the next reschedulement should be going to be very okay and easier for us.
All the same, many other candidates sat for the examination in this same center.
Just a little connection issue, but it wasn't a problem. It was just a little connection issue, but everything became stable at a point.
After logging in my registration number and then just to click begin, so it had issues there. Then they fixed it and I continued in my exams.
The management of the center explains what transpired in their various centers.
Process has been fine. We have 3 sections yesterday. The first section for 8 o'clock, second section for 11, the third section for 12. In the second section there was a little delay, and the delay is from the JAM headquarters. So
the exam is very, very okay today. We're on the second session already, which is almost rounding off now. Getting to enter the third session.
The examination, which commenced on the 28th of April, will run through the 3rd of May 2023.
The board has assured Nigerians that no candidate will be denied the right of taking his or her examination due to any challenges experienced. Such a candidate will be rescheduled to take the examination in the next available date and space. Helen Osamede-Akins, TVC News, Abuja.
And the World Health Organization and the Adamawa State Ministry of Health have trained about 60 journalists and social media influencers on wholesome health reporting. The 3-day training emphasized the need for journalists to key into early reportage of epidemic-prone diseases to force authorities into prompt action. Some participants commended WHO for the initiative.
With the advent of social media in the country, you can see that a lot of information goes out and reaches virtually everywhere, especially now that with the economy, very few people can afford newspapers. So this is the widest source of information and information dissemination. And if we applied, it could actually help the health of the country.
From this training so far, as a media partner, we realized that while WHO collaborates with key stakeholders in finding solutions to ending the disease-prone epidemic, the media's role in mainstreaming these issues and ensuring that the right information, awareness and sensitization of the citizens.
The training has served as an eye-opener to social media influencer, despite the fact that they don't have a regulatory body. It has gone a long way to introduce to the social media their role in the health preventive measures.
Let's turn our attention now to the southwest, where the Ekiti State Customary Court of Appeal says it will preside over matters arising from the customary court and pay attention to issues and avoid unnecessary technicalities. Former Attorney General of Ekiti State gave the assurances at the inaugural sitting in the court in Ado-Ekiti. We have details in this report.
The Ekiti State Customary Court of Appeal held its inaugural sitting today with members of the bar bench in attendance. Earlier this year, Governor Biodun Yebanji unfolded plans by his administration to establish a befitting Customary Court of Appeal in all judicial divisions in the state. Now, these lawyers and the judges of the Customary Court of Appeal are here for their inaugural sitting. And one thing they'll be doing is hearing and determining both criminal and civil cases under the native law and custom.
The practical steps that both the previous government and this government is taking to bring access to justice closer to our people. You will recall that on the inauguration of the Yebanji administration, one of the things he said was he was going to remove all obstacles to prevent our people from accessing justice, irrespective of economic status or any other attribute.
The former Attorney General of Ekiti State, Olawale Fakuna, SAN, who was a pioneer of major reforms in the State Ministry of Justice, says the beauty of this court is in its ability to pay attention to details and not dwell on technicalities.
The approach that has been taken is to ensure that it's a seamless process. Know that we are dealing with customary issues. It's a customary court of appeal. The major issues that the court will be dealing with will be the area of customary laws and practice. And